So maybe you've heard people say things like, well, I tried keto and my hair started falling out. Or I did keto, but it made me feel tired or it made me feel weird. And so I just stopped. So here's what I want you to know. A lot of the time, keto is not the problem. The problem is what people accidentally do when they cut their carbs, when their appetite drops, they eat less food, their meals start getting repetitive, and that is when micronutrient gaps can sneak in. And those gaps will show up as things like thinning hair or brittle nails, lower energy, could be brain fog, start getting cramps in their legs, headaches, constipation, feeling moody, or just kind of feeling blah. And so today is our week 5 keto reset fix. We are going to talk about what not to do on keto so that you can stay in ketosis and still feel good. So, a quick recap. In week 1, we got ourselves ready. We got our electrolytes, we got our tools ready. Week 2, we changed our breakfast. Week 3, we changed our lunch. Week 4, we changed our dinner. So if you have been following along, you would now be eating keto for all 3 meals, and your body has finally got to a point where it is producing ketones consistently. Now, if you have not been following the series, and you want to try experiment with easing into ketosis, go back and watch the first few videos and I will show you how to get into ketosis in a simple step-by-step way. Okay, so let's talk about the mistake that makes people want to quit keto and how you can avoid it. Okay, so I'm gonna pop my slides up because that's what we do. There we go. All right. So before we talk about micronutrients, which is today's topic mostly, I wanted to make sure we are clear on what ketosis actually is, right? So ketosis is not a list of foods, it's a metabolic state. When your carbs are super low, your insulin stays lower, your liver will start making ketones as an alternative fuel. And the main ketone that we use for energy is called the beta hydroxybutyrate, BHB. Your brain and your muscles use it. And this is why people love keto when it's working, right? You get that steady energy, fewer crashes, your hunger calms down, and you'll notice clearer thinking, more better focus as you get more adaptive. But here's the part that people miss. You can be making ketones and still not feeling your best yet. So in the early weeks, your body is still learning how to use fat and ketones efficiently. And if you're eating less food and you're not paying attention to your nutrients, you can create gaps that can make you actually feel worse, even while you are in ketosis. So our goal is not just to make ketones, it's to make sure we're feeling good while we're having those ketones, while we're making those ketones. And that is where micronutrients are going to come in, and that's what we're getting into next. So you should know there's no perfect diet, right? Every way of eating is going to have some sort of blind spot. And if you're eating like a standard American diet, the blind spot is usually too many processed foods, right? Not enough nutrient dense foods. If you eat keto, the blind spot might be a little bit different. When you lower your carbs, a couple of things happen, right? One thing that we really love is that our appetite often drops, so we eat less food. And that's great. And another thing that happens is people tend to rotate the same few meals. We're typically eating things like eggs, meat, cheese. You might have a salad and some veggies, and that's it, right? And it's very limited on the veggies that you can select if you're trying to keep your carbs super low. So all this will work great for blood sugar and cravings, but less food and less variety is going to mean that you're not getting enough micronutrients over time. So I'm not trying to scare you or anything like this, right? This is not about fear. This is just the reality of how things work. Um, we want to make sure we're doing a ketogenic diet, really any diet, right, in a way that supports your body. So we're going to cover the signs that your nutrients could be slipping and the simple fix for it in week 5. So let's talk about what this can look like in real life. So this is not like I'm not diagnosing anything, right? But because these signs can come from a lot of different things, not necessarily because you're doing keto. But if you're doing keto and you start feeling off, this is just your reminder that you should check in on the basics. So, number one, low energy or brain fog. You feel dull, your go go is gone, right? Your get up and go is gone. That's one sign. Number two is your hair and your nails. Hair shedding can increase. Your nails might get more brittle, start peeling. You might notice cramps or headaches. Sometimes this could be a mineral issue. Sometimes it could be a hydration. Sometimes it's both. Number four is digestion. Constipation is very common when people drop their carbs and you're not taking in as much fiber, you're not getting as much magnesium, you may not be getting enough fluids. And if any of this is familiar, I mean, this is not the time to panic. This does not mean you need to quit. It usually just means that you need to find ways to better support your body and stay consistent with it. Okay. Now, I know when my micronutrients are not being addressed, and I learned this kind of the hard way. So, a few years ago, I went through a stretch where I was feeling dull. I'd been on a ketogenic diet for a while. I was feeling amazing at first, and then things started feeling not as good. All right. Brain not feeling as sharp. Energy was so so, right? And I thought, okay, maybe it's because I have been doing keto for so long and you kind of get used to a new level of normal and you might not feel like the benefits anymore because you've been doing it for so long. But I also was learning around that time a bit more about micronutrients and I decided to add in a quality multivitamin and I started taking it, and I don't know if I noticed any, like, fireworks. It wasn't like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing." However, a few months after, a few months later, I kind of fell off taking it, and I wasn't taking it as regularly, and that is when I noticed the difference. I fell off again. So, I got more consistent, and I felt like the light bulb did turn back on. Right? So I'm not casual about this. When you are eating less, you're eating meals on repeat, nutrient gaps can creep in. And even, outside of the ketogenic diet, there are nutrient gaps. Our modern food diet is, very convenient and not always nutrients dense. Our soil is depleted and to be real, you know that most people are not buying and prepping like 15 different vegetables in each week to eat the rainbow that they recommend. So let me show you what I take. Actually, you're looking at what I take, right? And I'm going to show you how I check my micronutrient intake on a Cronometer. So what you see is my current stack. So I do Adapt Naturals, their multivitamin, their vitamin E. I do their omegas. I take that life extension B complex. I take copper, vitamin D, K2 drops. I take magnesium. I use cream of tartar for the potassium. And I take iron repair. I am anemic. And I don't have in this clip the Ultima, but I do take the Ultima replenisher for my electrolytes. Now, this is not like me telling you to go ahead and take these, right? This is me showing you what I do. Some of these, especially like the iron, the copper, the potassium, aren't really things you want to just guess on. Um, if you have anemia or if you have high iron or kidney issues, or if you're taking medications that can affect your potassium or your blood sugar, all those things, you want to make sure that you are checking with your doctor first. But I'm trying to bring this to your radar, into your radar, so that you are paying attention to these micronutrients. Okay. So here is the part that I do want you to steal though. So this is Cronometer. It is an app that you can download and it allows you to enter the foods that you eat and see the macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, as well as your micronutrients, your vitamins and minerals, right? And what I'm showing you here, you can see as I'm scrolling down, you can see that my micronutrients are lacking. There's not a whole lot of green here in the vitamins and the minerals. You see some green, but there are some major gaps, right? Major gaps in things like vitamin D, vitamin E, in some of the B vitamins, in copper, in magnesium, in potassium. There are just all around gaps. It's not terrible, but there are some gaps there. So now I'm going to show you. And I'm sorry, this is, I didn't say, I don't know if I said, this is my micronutrients without supplementation. So this is me not having, just eating like my regular like keto diet, right? So this is like eggs with some butter, some ground beef, maybe a small steak. And this is what it looks like for me. Now, let's take a look at it in Cronometer with supplementation with the stack that I just shared. So notice this huge improvement, a lot more greens. I know that I still need to work on the calcium because I don't need to eat a lot of dairy these days. But you can see what gets covered now, right? And you can see what's low. It's a huge improvement, right? I've hit 93% of all targets now, where before I think it was like 77%. So your task this week is simple, and I would like for you to check out Cronometer. Again, you can download the app and track one normal day in Cronometer so that you can stop guessing and you can see what your nutrition is looking like and what you are missing so that you can get your body running optimally. Okay, so now I just want to talk about another mistake that people make on keto. And this is where people keep adding more and more fat forever. So in the beginning of this reset, we have higher fat because it helps you get into ketosis. It helps with your cravings. It helps you feel satisfied while your body is learning this new fuel system. But if you have weight to lose, your long-term goal is not to keep drinking fat and pouring fat on everything. And keto dieters sometimes fall into having like this excess of heavy cream and butter on everything for far too long. And then they wonder why they're gaining weight or they're not losing fat. So our long-term goal is to use our stored body fat, right? So the simple rule is to keep your protein steady, keep those carbs low, and use fat as a lever. You can scale it up or scale it down depending on your needs. If you are producing ketones and your hunger is feeling calm and steady, um, your energy is feeling calm and stable, you can begin backing down a little bit on the added fat. That means you're going to have less of the butter and oil and cream and fat bombs. You want to still eat fat, of course. You're just not chasing like that top number. Okay. You can shift it down. If your weight loss has stalled for a few weeks, and you know your carbs are still low, the first lever that you want to pull is the fat lever. Don't decrease your protein. You want to drop your fat. And if you do drop your fat and you start feeling hungrier or you're feeling cold or cranky, that probably means that you went too far and you need to just add a little bit more fat back in. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. So, your week 5 action steps, we're going to keep it simple. Um, Number one, continue having your 3 meals a day, no snacking. Okay. Number two, keep your carbs steady. And I'm sorry, keep your carbs low, right? Under 20 grams total for the day. If you want to stay in ketosis, that's what we need to do. Number three, you want to make sure that your protein stays solid. Do not crash your protein just to increase your fat. Okay. If you are building muscle or you want to um, lose fat, you need to make sure you're having enough protein. Number four is to use that fat as a lever, as I just mentioned, right? Earlier on, the higher fat is great for um, preventing those cravings. It makes keto easier. But once you start making ketones and your hunger calms down, you want to push back or drop back on the fat. For me, I would have for breakfast, the same higher fat breakfast. So I would have like my eggs with a lot of butter or a lot of, I do MCT oil powder and I start my day with that. I might continue that for lunch, but by dinner, if my carbs are low, I might have a little bit more protein and I add fat based on how I feel. I'm not putting 4 tablespoons of fat in at my dinner time as well. Okay. Number five, make sure you cover those micronutrients. Find and take a quality multivitamin. Be consistent, right? Especially as your appetite is beginning to drop. And don't guess. Track a day in Cronometer so that you can see your micronutrients without the supplement and then see what it looks like when you add your supplements in. Okay. So that is all I have for you guys today. Comment below. Tell me what you're struggling with, if it's consistency or energy or keto flu, if you're having constipation, hair loss, if you're struggling to get into ketosis, let me know. I will answer your questions and I can use that to shape the next video or the next series. So until next week, I'll see you. Have a beautiful week. Bye.